Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you all are doing well. As you all know, in the previous video, we have covered section B of the additional sample question paper issued by CBSE for the session 23-24. Today's video is all about solving the section C of the same. Okay then, without wasting much time, let's start the session. Let's read the first question from the section C, that is 26th question. This question is based on MySQL. There are two tables. The first table name is book and the second table name is member. Moving ahead, let's check the question. The first question based on table is what will be the output of the following statement. And in this statement, we are doing the natural join of the two tables. I hope your concepts of joins are crystal clear. If not, I will suggest you to go through this video at the speed of 2x so that all the concepts related to joins will get recalled. Now, let's check out the output of the natural join. All the columns of the first table will get printed. This is the first column, this is the second, and here is the third column of the first table. Now look at the columns of the second table. The first column of the second table is getting printed. Even the second column is also getting printed. When we look at the next column, that is code, this column is present in the book table also. So in case of natural join, the columns with the same name of the associated table will appear only once. You can see here the column code is already printed. That's why it will not get printed again. Then moving ahead to the next column, issue date is getting printed. So that was natural join. In case of natural join, the repeated column will get displayed once. Hey, we got an idea about fields. Now what about records? Do we have any doubts? No, right? It's a join and we will be getting common records. There are total 3 common records in the table. So we will be getting all those 3 records. Proceeding to the B part of the same question. Here is one table, employee. Let's check out the question. We need to predict the output of the given queries. Okay, then let's read the first query. Select name. So name column will get printed, that we have mentioned. After name, the second column is project, that also we have mentioned. From employee, what's the criteria? Order by name in the descending order. So we are going to print the names in the descending order. That's why the first name got printed with S, then R, M. And if we look at the last two names, both are getting started with the alphabet A. Then which one will get printed first? In such cases where the first alphabet is same, the comparison will continue to the next character. Now we will check the second character. First L will come, then K will come. That's why first Alex got printed and later Akhtar. Followed by name, their corresponding project also getting printed. So that was the output of the query. Hope you understood it. Let's check the next query. Select name. First column is name. Second column we are going to print, that is salary. From table name, it's time to check out the condition where name like A%. We know how this works. Starting will be A and the remaining characters can be anything because percent matches any number of characters. So if we look at the name column, there are two names starting with A, Akhtar and Alex. In this way, we got this output. Name starting with A followed by their corresponding salary. Time to check out the third query. Select name and date of joining. Okay, let's write the two columns. From employee, let's check the criteria with the where clause. Salary between 1 lakh and 2 lakh. Okay, then look at the column salary. The first salary is 1,50,000. It satisfies the criteria. That's why the first name will get printed, that is Ranjan. If we look at the next record, the salary is 1,25,000. Okay, it satisfies the criteria, so it will get printed. Moving ahead to the next record. The salary is 1,35,000. It also satisfies the criteria. That's why the name Munira and the corresponding date of joining for that employee will get printed. We got the required output. We are at the last query. Select star from employee where project equal to P01. We will be printing all the fields for the employee which will satisfy this criteria. Then look at the project column. We could see P01 twice. So these 2 records will get printed, that too all the fields of these 2 records. That's why we will be getting this output. Hope you understood this concept too. 26 question got over. Now it's time to check question number 27. This question is also based on MySQL. Let's check out. There are 2 tables. The first table is faculty and the second table is courses. Let's scroll down and check the question. Here too we need to find the output of the following queries. Okay, we are ready to find out the output. Let's read the first query. Select FID, minimum of fees and maximum of fees. So these 3 fields will be getting printed that we have mentioned. From table name, group by FID. Now look at the courses table as mentioned. We are doing grouping on the FID and we have to find out the minimum of fees and the maximum of fees. Let's check out for the first FID. First FID is F01. The fees for FID 01 is 40,000 and there is one more record. The fees is 12,000. Out of these 2 we know what is minimum, that is 12,000. So that we will be writing here. We got minimum as 12,000, then maximum will be 40,000. So that will get displayed. In this way we will be calculating minimum of fees and maximum of fees for the rest of the FID. The next is F04. There are 2 records. Minimum we could see is 15,000 and maximum is 17,000. For F03 there is only one record, so that will be minimum and the same will be maximum too. At last we have FID F05 and the fees is null. So in both the places we will be writing null. Let's erase the scribbling and moving ahead to the next query. Select average of salary from faculty where F name like %A. Here the table name is faculty. So look at the faculty table. We are interested in the F name whose starting characters can be anything but the last should be A. From the table Anisha and Neha satisfies the criteria. For them we need to calculate average of salary. So Anisha's salary is 32,000 and let's check the Neha salary. Neha salary is 27,000. To calculate average we need to add them. So we got 59,000 and there are 2 records. So we will be dividing 59 by 2. In this way we will be getting average salary as 29,500. The header for the column will be as mentioned after the select clause. It's time to check out the third query. Select F name, okay, that we will mention, and the second column is C name, that also we will mention. From faculty and courses, here we are going to combine both the tables. That's why we have given some alias to it so that it will be easy to write the query. Now F is the name of the faculty and C is the name of the courses table. With where clause generally we combine and we mention the criteria too. This is the first statement which is used to combine or join 2 tables in which we take the common column. You can see here FID is the common column and with the AND operator we will mention the required condition. Courses.fid should be F04. We could have written here C.fid, but that's not a problem. We understood what we want. So look at the courses table. There are 2 records with FID F04. For this F04, C name we are getting as Python and computer network. So that we got, but we need F name too. That we will be getting from the faculty table. So faculty name for the F04 is Neha. Neha took 2 courses. Let's erase everything and move ahead to the next query. Select F name, C name and fees. There are 3 columns which we are going to display. Okay, let's move ahead to the next part. From faculty F and courses C. Here also we are considering both the tables, means first we will join it and then we will see the criteria. So here is the statement to join. And the criteria we are mentioning with the AND operator. Fees should be greater than 15,000. C name and fees we will be getting from the courses table and F name we will be getting from the faculty. So let's try to match it. In the first record, the fees is 40,000, means it satisfies the criteria as it is greater than 50,000. For that fees, we will be printing C name, that is grid computing, and the name we will be getting from the faculty. Let's try to find out the name for this faculty F01, that is Anisha. So we got this record, Anisha, grid computing, and the fees is 40,000. In the same way, let's check the remaining fees. The next fees is 70,000. It is also more than 15,000. C name for that is Python and the faculty ID is F04. The name of the F04 faculty ID is Neha. So we could see here that is also displayed in the output. Next fees is 18,000. It doesn't match the criteria. Moving ahead to the next fees, it is 15,000, but the condition is fees should be greater than 15,000, not greater than equal to. It doesn't satisfy the criteria. Next record also doesn't satisfy the criteria, even the last record. Finally, we will be getting this output. Hope you understood this explanation. If you have any doubt, let me know in the comments. Part A of the 27th question got over. Moving ahead to the part B. Write the name of the command to display the structure of the table in a database. To describe structure of the table, we use DESC command. DESC, then the table name. Write any random example like DESC and then mention any table name. Here we are mentioning the name of the table as student. I will suggest you to go through all the commands of the MySQL because it is very important. Almost 10 marks will be covered based on MySQL. Alright then, moving ahead to Python. Let's read the 28th question. Write a function named count. What's that count function will be doing? It will read a text file. Name is gratitude. And then we need to display the count of the letter E in each line. Look at the example, there are total 4 lines. So we need to print the count of E in each line. Okay then, it's time to code. According to the program, we need to read the gratitude.txt file. But for that, we need the text file. But we are not going to create a text file by writing code. Then what we can do? Just go to Notepad and then paste the content from the question paper. Save that file with the same name as mentioned in the question paper, that is gratitude. The extension will be .txt. Let's create the function with the def keyword. The name of the function is count. The first task is to open the text file in the read mode. For that we will be using open function. The name of the file is gratitude.txt and the mode will be R mode. By default it will open in the read mode, so you can skip the mode. File is open in the read mode. Now the next task is to read the content of the file. There are total 3 functions to read the content of the text file: read, read line and read lines. Now we will be using read lines functions because we have 4 lines. To make sure that file content is getting read, we will print and check it. Let's call this function. So this is clear now that we could read the file content. Using readlines functions, we will be getting the file content in the form of list. Now we will be iterating over the list for line in lines. Now we need to count the occurrence of the letter E in each line. So to store the count of each line, we will be taking one variable and initializing it to 1. To count the occurrence of the letter E, we will be using count function. Let's print each line and the count of the letter E. So for that we will be writing message line. Then the line number should get printed. For that we have taken variable num. After that we will be printing colon. We are formatting it according to the required output. After that the count should get printed. For that we will apply the count function on the line variable. So line dot count and the letter is E. That we will be mentioning here. In this way the occurrence for the line 2 should get printed. For that we will be incrementing the num variable. I think the coding part is over. Now we will close the file. Let's run and check the output. In this way I think we got the required output. In line number 1 the count of E is 3, then 4, then 6, then 1. Look at this required output. We too got same. Hope you understood that code. There is a OR part for the same question. We have to consider the same gratitude.txt file. But what's the question? We have to display the lines starting with I. These two lines should get printed which are starting with the letter I. Alright then, let's modify the same program. The name of the function is start with I. We have opened the file and using readlines functions we are reading the files. Now to check whether that line is getting started with I or not, we need to iterate over the list. For that we will be using same for loop for line in lines. Let's print and check whether we are getting line by line or not. So let's print this variable and check how we are getting the output. You can see here we are getting the content of the file line by line, but there is a empty line too. To remove this extra line, you know what we do. We use end parameter. Now the output is perfectly fine, but we don't have to print all the 4 lines. We have to print the lines which are starting with the letter I. For that we will be using condition. These lines are in the form of string. Now we will be checking the first character of the line is equals to I or not. That we will be getting using index. If line of 0 is equals to I, that too capital I we will be taking. If it is yes, then we will print that line. Let's run and check the output. Yes, we are getting the required output. Only those lines are getting printed which are starting with the letter I. Hope you have understood this code too. Try it yourself. From Python, we are moving ahead to again MySQL. Though question looks very lengthy, read it carefully. Here is a table result with some data. Now based on the given data, answer the following questions. If you know the answer, anytime you can skip that part and proceed to the next question. Alright then, let's read the first question. Identify the columns which can be considered as a candidate keys. Candidate keys are the keys which can be a primary key. And to become any candidate key as a primary key, it should be unique. If it is duplicate, it cannot be a candidate key too. So look at the columns which are unique. You can see roll number is unique. Obviously it will be. And look at the admission number column. This also looks unique. There are no duplicate values. That's why admission number and the roll number can be candidate keys. It's time to read next query. If 2 more columns are added and 3 rows are deleted from the table result, what will be the new degree and cardinality of the above table? You know what is degree and cardinality, right? We link car word of the cardinality to rows. That means cardinality are rows and the degree is column. First we will check out the current degree and the cardinality. There are total 7 rows and the degrees are 6. Now let's come back to the question. 2 more columns are added. We are going to add columns that are 2. So total columns will be 8. So the degree is 8. And 3 rows we are going to delete. So 7 minus 3 will be 4. In this way we got the answer degree 8 and cardinality is 4. What's the next question? Write a statement to increase semester 2 marks by 3% for the student securing marks between 70 to 100. To update already inserted record, we use update query. Update, then name of the table is result. We use set clause. We need to increase the semester 2 marks by 3%. So 3% we will be writing as 0.03. Then adding it to the current semester 2 marks, we will get the increased one. And there is a condition for whom we have to give this increased semester 2 marks. That condition we will be writing with where clause. Where semester 2 mark should be between 70 and 100. To give that range, we will be using between operator between 70 and 100. So the query will be like this. Hope you are enjoying this session. We are at the last question of the section C, that is 30th question. There is one dictionary. The name of the dictionary is Student Dictionary, which contains the marks of the students for 3 test series. Look at the key value pair. Key is student ID and the values is given in the form of tuple. We need to write some user defined function to perform specified operations on the stack. The name of the stack is student stk. What is the first user defined function? Push elements. What this function will be doing? It will push the IDs of those students from this dictionary into the stack who have scored more than 80 marks in the test series 3. In this question we are working on the data structure stack. You know what is stack, right? Stack is a data structure in which we can add the element or remove the element but from the last position. And in Python we implement stack using list. So we will be using some methods of the list to perform these operations. So to add the element we will be using append function because append function adds the element at the last. Similarly, to remove the element from the last position we will be using function pop. In this way we will be working according to the restrictions of the stack. Okay, then let's move to the IDE. Alright then, look at the code. Here is the given dictionary with the given data. We have initialized student stack, that is an empty list, which will be storing the IDs of the students who got more than 80 marks in the test series 3. According to the instructions, here is the user defined function which is taking two parameters, the stack and the dictionary. Now we will be iterating over the data of the dictionary. That too we need both keys and values. So we will be writing for the key is student ID and then we have marks. In we will be iterating over dictionary. So the name of the dictionary is student dictionary and we will be using here items function because we need both the keys and values. Now the criteria is we have to check the marks in the test series 3. Get the key value pair of the dictionary. Key is student ID. The marks are the values and the marks of the test series is in the form of tuple. We need to check the marks of the test series 3 which will be at the index 2. This is the 0th index, then first and then 2. With the if we will be checking the criteria. We have all the values in the variable marks and at second index we will be getting the test series 3 marks which should be greater than or equal to 80. If this criteria satisfies, we have to add the student ID into the stack. The name of the stack is student stack. We will be using append function to append the element to the stack. And what we have to append to the stack? Only student ID. So that we will be writing here. I think our code is done. Let's run and check the output. We are not getting any output because we are not printing the stack. Let's print it. Print the name of the stack is student stack. So that we will mention here. Now let's check out. We got this output. Is it correct? Let's check out. For the first key value pair, the marks for the test series 3 is 89. Yes, it is greater than or equal to 80. So 5 got added. Let's move ahead to the next key value pair. Here it is 61. That's why 10 is not got added. Moving to the third key value pair, it is 90. Greater than 80. That's why 12 got added. Then it is 80. Yes, it also satisfies the criteria. It is greater than or equal to 80. So 14 got added. And moving ahead to the last key value pair. Here it is 91. 18 also got added to the stack. That's why the output is like this. In this way, the first operation of adding an element, that is pushing an element in the stack, got over. In this way we got the required output. We push the elements to the stack. Now let's check out the second user defined function. Here we need to pop the element. Remove an element in case of stack is called as popping an element. That is a pop operation. We need to remove all the elements present inside the stack in the LIFO order, last in first out. Means we will be removing the item from the last position. First 18 should get removed, then 14, 12, then 5. Let's continue the question. The function also should print stack is empty when there are no elements in the stack and call both the function to execute. Alright then, coming back to the same program. Now we have to pop the element. We have to write the code in such a way that we will keep on popping the elements from the list until it is empty. For that we need to write the while loop. While, then we will calculate the length of the stack. The name of the stack is student stack. If the length of the stack is greater than 0, we will keep on popping the element. For that we will be using pop function of the list because stack we are implementing using list. Pop will ultimately delete the last item from the list. We can directly print the pop item so that we will come to know which element is getting popped because pop function returns the popped element. Let's run and check the output. You can see here we are getting the required output. First 18 got deleted, then 14, after that 12 and finally 5. But according to the question, we should also print stack is empty when all the elements will get popped. For that we can use else part of the while loop. When this while loop will terminate normally, it will come to the else part. We will be printing message that stack is empty. Now let's run and check the output. It is perfectly fine. Here we are pushing the elements. Next we are popping the elements, and when the stack is empty we are getting the message. So here is the complete code for that. We need to write these two statements also to call the functions as it is mentioned in the question. Hope you have understood this code. Hey, that's a wrap for today's video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your classmates. In the next video, we will be going through the section D and E of the same sample paper. Until next time, keep studying smart, stay confident. I will see you in the next video.